Washington Journal continues.
We're back with Michigan politics this morning for the next half an hour. Joining us from Lansing is Saul Anuzis, chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. Good morning, sir. Let's start with the new Reuters-Zogby C-SPAN poll that shows this is a nail-biter. John McCain, 27%, Mitt Romney, 24%, Mike Huckabee, 15%, and then Ron Paul, 8%, Giuliani, 6%, and Fred Thompson, 5%. Why is this race so close?
Well, I think that on the Romney and McCain side, that Senator John McCain obviously got a bounce out of New Hampshire. But more importantly, he's been working here for about a year and a half on his campaign, as has Governor Mitt Romney. So this is really the two people who've spent the most time in Michigan, who've done the most with the voters in Michigan, who've been taking their message to the people of Michigan, appear to be leading, and it actually is very close. There's been about 5 polls that have come out in the last 48 hours, and they all basically show this race neck and neck between Senator John McCain and Governor Mitt Romney.
Well, what are the factors here? Is it, you mentioned that they've spent the most time in the state, but do voters have an affinity toward Governor Mitt Romney because his father was a governor there, or is there an affinity toward Senator John McCain because he won in 2000, or both?
Yeah, I think a little of both. Obviously, Senator McCain has, been here politically. 2000 was a big victory for him. It was designed more or less to embarrass our sitting Governor Engler at the time and President Bush at the time. But still, Senator McCain campaigned in Michigan, built an organization, and developed a lot of friendships and loyalties here. At the same time, Governor Mitt Romney obviously was born and raised in Michigan. His father served as governor. His mother ran for the United States Senate. His sister-in-law ran for the United States Senate. So the Romney name is a respected and well-known political name, at least if you're 50, 55 or over. So that probably has some advantage as well. But I think more importantly, it's that both of these candidates made a commitment to Michigan a long time ago. They both had staff here. They both campaigned here aggressively, met the voters, from the UP down to Monroe out to St. Joe and back. So, I mean, it was a very aggressive campaign by both of these candidates over the last year and a half, and I think it's showing up in the polls.
What does a win for one of these candidates mean in Michigan?
Well, I think it's an important win. It continues the process. I stated earlier, I think we've kind of switched after Iowa, Wyoming, and New Hampshire. We went from a sprint to a marathon. Traditionally, the Republicans, and on both sides, normally somebody comes out of Iowa and New Hampshire in the lead with a primary challenger. Today, we really had Huckabee win in Iowa. We had Romney win in Wyoming, and then McCain win in New Hampshire. So rather than coming out as a sprint and having some type of field set, we really came out fairly even, and coming into Michigan, obviously even with the leading candidates, and it appears to be close in South Carolina as well. So I think that we've kind of switched the way we're looking at the political landscape right now, and this is really going to be a marathon that's going to take us at least through February 5th until some of our leading candidates start falling off the ballots.
Saul Anuzis is our guest for the next half an hour. He's the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. And here are the phone numbers. If you're a Democrat, dial 202-737-0002. Republicans, 202-737-0001. Independents, 202-628-0205. We also have our line for Michigan voters, 202-628-0184. Mr. Anuzis, you talked about the economy, and we've talked about that all morning. John McCain and Mitt Romney have been talking about the economy, but approaching it in different ways. Talk about that, and how are each of their approaches resonating with Michigan voters?
Well, actually, I think they're resonating very well. I'm not sure they're that different, but both of them are really approaching the fact that Michigan is in a single-state recession. We're the only state in the country that's lost jobs 5 years in a row. We do have the highest unemployment in the country. Foreclosure rates are devastating month to month. We're number 2, number 3 overall. I think we've been number 1 several times. We've got a situation where UCalls actually does a study, and we're one of 2 states that actually has more people leaving the state with one-way tickets out than coming back in here. And even like our great universities, I mean, here we are educating our children and grandchildren at arguably some of the best schools in the country. And the University of Michigan did a study amongst their student body, and 61% of the kids said when they graduate, they plan on having to go somewhere else to find a job. So the economy is the #1 issue affecting the people of Michigan. We feel it, we know it. It doesn't matter if it's your neighbor or where you go to church or where you go to school. Just about everybody knows somebody who's lost a job. And so I think you're seeing the candidates address those issues. And again, this is one of the reasons that moving our Michigan primary up early was so healthy, because the candidates are coming in, they understand what's unique about Michigan. how Michigan is unique compared to the rest of the country. We were left behind for several different reasons, but obviously the manufacturing industry and others made a difference. But Michigan is in a lot of pain, and therefore the candidates are addressing it directly. And I think that's what's appealing to them. And really, if you listen to Governor Romney, if you listen to Senator McCain, you listen to Mike Huckabee, even Duncan Hunter was in last night at one of the rallies I was at and did a great job about talking about Michigan, about what's unique about us, how we were the arsenal of democracy, and what we need to do to basically get Michigan back on its feet. So it'll be a good debate and a healthy debate, I think, not just for Michigan, but the country.
What impact will the economy and the economic woes have on voter turnout tomorrow?
Well, I think it'll keep it kind of robust. We're having a very hard time figuring out exactly how many voters are going to vote. This is the first time we've had a Republican and Democratic Party primary held on the same day. Traditionally, if you take a look at historically, when we had our primaries, somewhere around 1 million people would come out and vote. You would expect a little higher percentage of Democrats to come out and vote. But given so many Democrats are boycotting our state and haven't been in here talking to the people of Michigan, there'll probably be obviously a fall off on the Democrat side. But we still expect a pretty good numbers, and I've seen anywhere from estimates of 800,000 to 1 million voters on the Republican side, and it'll be very hard to tell what's going to happen on the Democrat side.
First phone call, Ann Arbor.
Hi. I tried for a half an hour to get in on the Democratic guy, and I just wanted to urge Democratic voters to get out and vote for Kucinich because he kept his name on the ballot. He's campaigning here in the state today, and voting for Hillary is voting for Wall Street. Do not vote for Hillary. Vote for Kucinich. And Greta, at the beginning, before you introduced the Democratic fellow, you said there's only one person to vote for in Michigan, and that's
No,
Hillary.
I said there was only one front runner.
Oh, one front runner. Okay. Well, it sounded like you said there's only one person to vote for, but anyway, that's a false. That wouldn't be true, of course.
Right. Thanks, caller, for calling in. Mr. Anuzis, what is your prediction for Democratic voters crossing over and voting for Republicans?
Well, I don't think there's going to be a lot of that. I mean, there's always some of that, and there are some people who either cross over because they like the candidates and others who cross over because they want to play games. But I think on the Democratic side, there's still a pretty aggressive campaign going out there. You've got obviously Senator Clinton, who needs a victory and needs to move forward in this process, who's being challenged by Barack Obama. Then you have the Obama folks and the Edwards folks who are very aggressively encouraging voters in Michigan that if you support them and or if you are an anti-Hillary Democrat, that you come out and vote uncommitted. Clearly, it would be a huge embarrassment to Senator Clinton, both here in Michigan and the country, if she were to lose to uncommitted or barely beat uncommitted when none of the other leading candidates were on the ballot. So there's a little bit of an incentive, and there's a lot of Democrats who are being very active on their side. So would there be some crossover? It'll be hard to tell. We won't know until the exit polls come out, and obviously we'll be watching that. But I think the Democrats have enough of a battle going on their side, and there's enough political activity on their side that I suspect it to be normal or minimal at best.